Hello, and we are live. I'm not in my little studio with my great lighting. I'm here in my humble apartment in California while I'm at work for the next couple of weeks. So this week and next week, you'll see me here. I have brought back one of my guests from last week, Adam. We'll bring him back to talk. But first, let's talk a little bit about results. We've had last week, I will call mixed results because even my own lineups, only half of them paid. Depending on how you made your build, the core stuck, and that made me proud. So out of the 8 picks given, 7 of them made the cut. My saddest regret is that Will Zalatoris did not make the cut, or we would have had, a perfect set of picks. But they can't all be perfect. But I will say, I don't know of many analysts that are giving you 7 of 8 great picks. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little more than a pat on the back. It's been 4 weeks of really great picks. Here we are in week 5. This week I am feeling a little shaky only because I've had a very long day and I don't feel like I've wrapped my head around it. But I have been in here doing my checks, making sure things line up. And by tomorrow morning's article, I'll make sure we're all dialed in. And if I make any adjustments to tonight's picks, I'll make sure to let you know. Our favorite, well, I'll say my favorite pick of last week, Jason Day, really gave the field a run for their money. He really hung in there. Finau, wow, hung in there, did great. And Max Homa, pick of the week in the article and in the broadcast, won it all. And I myself made a nice little hit on a prop bet for Homa to win. If only I had bet more than $5. If only. But I cannot rewind time, and that's okay. But all of this to say, I'm not here. We're not here. Any guests I bring in, we're not here to just throw out names for you. We're doing the research. We're making the checks. We're bringing you, to the best of our ability, knowledge and data to back up these picks. So I'm really proud of the work that's being done here. So here we are for a 5th week of winners at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which kicks off on Thursday. We bring in my friend, Mr. Hallas. How's it going?
Not bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good. Finally, there was some sun today. I've been feeling a little sad because it's been gray, but it is sunny. How's that weather going in your neck of the woods?
Cold. St. Louis has a little bit of snow. No, it's kind of dreary.
I
It's
have
like,
sirens.
oh, little siren precipitation there. Call that a drizzle.
Drizzle of sirens. Yeah, a little cold, a little dreary. I feel like it's like that all across the country. I have not looked at the weather at Pebble Beach this week.
It's going
Did
to get a
you?
little dicey.
A
A
little
little
dicey.
dicey.
Why don't you
So
give us like an overview right now? Let's just go right into this.
go right into it. So for the weather for this tournament, you always have a chance of wind, being that it's right off the coast. And so you're looking at 3 courses, Spyglass, and you're looking at Pebble Beach, and then you're looking at also one more that's kind of the forgotten one is the Monterey Peninsula Country Club, or the short course. But
Spanish
Spyglass,
Bay.
what?
Spanish Bay.
Uh,
Spanish Bay, Spyglass, and Pebble Beach make up the 3 there. I've played them all.
oh yeah.
I have.
I was looking at Monterey, but then I got it wrong. But then Spyglass and Pebble Beach play the same. Their yardage is very similar. So if you're looking at last week, it was what, 7,600 yards for the longest course. We're only looking at between 7,000 to 6,900 yards. So it's a short course, lots of bunkers, and it's a pro-am, and it's the big pro-am. So that means you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Josh Allen, you have Bill Murray, you have Ray Romano, um, which also means that the rough is not going to be that bad. So you don't really have to look at driving accuracy. What you do have to look at is approach, some of the putters out there, and it's also Pebble Beach has the smallest greens on the PGA Tour, and it's also one of those tournaments where it's a 54-hole cut. So each player will play each of the 3 courses, and then on Sunday, everyone will play Pebble Beach if they make the cut. So that also means that we're also looking at some wind. I think there's a chance of rain Thursday towards middle afternoon. But what we're looking at is probably, I think Vegas has it at minus 18 and a half for the winter. So I honestly will look at between minus 16, minus 19 as a winner overall. But that's kind of what we're looking at.
I forgot. I muted myself for a second. I agree with you. Today, when I was doing just some of my second or third round of kind of checks on my picks, approach, putting on the POA, I'm looking at around the green. Those are kind of the 3 that I really wanted to look at. I think I may throw in there the par 4 scoring just to see if that changes anything. I could even do that while we're sitting here talking, changes any of my rankings. But I was looking through our picks. We have some of the same picks, which I always like to see because it makes me feel like, oh, then I picked that same one. But I also don't mind when I see different ones because honestly, in some of these, I usually will try and do like 1 or 2 at the most, and there is occasion where we have 3 each of us because honestly there are just some that I would go and do a whole list of maybe 4 or 5 because so many of them are kind of shaking out, rising to the top in a bunch of different scenarios. So I'm okay with us having differences because there are some asterisks where I would also add them to my list. So we'll just start. Let's start at the top, our priciest picks for anybody new. We're going to go ahead and use Draftkings as a baseline. If I see anything crazy worth noting for FanDuel, I'll let you know, but you can go ahead and assume that it's going to be between 1 and 2,000 difference in the salary between DraftKings and FanDuel. FanDuel being a little bit more because there's a $10,000 higher salary cap on FanDuel. So let's just get it out of the way. The favorite for me this week, Matt Kuchar, kind eyes himself. I can't get away from him this week, and not just because I love him. But because this is a good course for him. Like I said, he shakes out in all of my models. In fact, when I did the last check just before we came on the air, Matt Kuchar ranking number 1 in my stats model. So there it is. And he's pricey this week because he's a good fit for this course, and FanDuel and DraftKings know it. That's all I have to say about Matt Kuchar this week.
Well, I had Matt Kuchar as well. Only because he does shake out so well, and it is, as I was telling you beforehand, it is what I call the old man course. Like it is steady Eddie, right? So like when you play with older guys on a golf course, they're not going to hit it long off the tee, but they will kick your ass. And here's why: because they're not long off the tee, but they're steady Eddie, and they know how to approach it. It's a short iron game, putting, and it's the old man golf.
The old man golf. When we look at Matt Kuchar on that course fit, if we're talking about that, we might as well. And I'm looking at his skill set and his accuracies on point. His approach better than average. Around the green excels. Putting much better than average.
Mhm.
And driving distance, ooh, way low. But that doesn't matter here, and that's
Nope.
okay. But if we're talking about those skills that we're talking about today, approach around the green, putting, all super important when we're in this. Accuracy, everybody wants to be accurate. It's just a cherry on this little Sunday. So I really love Matt Kuchar this week. I just do. I mean, we don't have to go on and on and on about him. I just do. We'll move on. Seamus Power. I read several articles about him, and I really hate it when I want to pick somebody that's also written up in several articles. It makes me feel gross, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it. If you played well in American Express, apparently there's a trend that you will play well at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So Seamus Power happens to fit into that little scenario. And when we look at him in my personal model, he is somewhere in there. I'll have to look while you're talking. So give us another one outside of Seamus Power and the woo-woo thought that if you do well in Amex, you might do well at Pebble Beach.
Well, I'm going to guess Andrew Putnam as my pick. And he also falls into the feeling gross section that he's been touted on a couple of other places. But he just shakes out well here. He does okay on putting, great on approach. If you're looking at par 5, birdie or better percentage, par 5 scoring, he does pretty well. So he's up there for me.
Well, Putnam ends up ranking 22nd in my model, which I really like. And for some reason, I'm not seeing Power. So you may not see him in tomorrow's article, but at the moment, he's hitting 2 of my 3 check marks.
Well, that's good.
I like it. It's okay. Yeah. 2 of 3, not bad. Matt Fitzpatrick. I know he hurts me. He hurts me.
He is the jilted golf lover, right? You keep going back to him.
I know. Why? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? But for this week, he's 10.1 on DraftKings, 11.8 on FanDuel. Wow. Pricey, pricey, pricey. But when we're talking again about skill set needed for this course, he's above average really in every area. When you're just looking at it on paper, excellent putter, great around the green. I don't know. He's just excels, but something seems to happen at tournament time where he lets us down. But I'm going to take a risk and go with Matt Fitzpatrick, still in that pricey range. And I know you have one more. You can poo-poo Fitzpatrick if you'd like, or you can move on. Oh, no. We lost him. I was looking at my stats, and we lost Adam. Let's see if he comes back. Adam, if for what it's worth, had Joel Damon as his another pricey pick, and I actually saw where he shakes out in my model again. One of my checkpoints, and Damon does end up in floating there to the top. So it's like, do I play him? Do I not play him? But he comes in at 15th. I think we got him back. We got him back. I was just saying, I gave a spoiler alert to your next pick, which was Joel Damon, and he actually shakes out 15th in my model. So I do like that pick. What was your thought in choosing him this week?
So with Joel Dahman, he's played this course pretty well. He's got a pretty good course history. And then also looking at a little bit of the key metrics that we've talked about earlier, you know, when you're looking at the last 5 events trending and then you look at strokes gained on approach, he's not bad. Off the tee, he's not bad. Where he does not shake out well at is putting on the Pro-Am. But he's not long off the tee, but we don't need him to be. He's got great greens in regulation, and his approach is pretty good. So he's up there. He's also pretty good at par 5 scoring, which is another thing on this course. So the par 5s are very, you can birdie them, so the average score is a birdie, but they also are very makeable for eagles. So we're looking at some of those. So if you want to catch up on someone, those par 5s are going to be the spot to do it.
Sounds very logical.
I try to be logical.
I like it. I'll allow it. Let's move on to the middle price tier because we spent a long time on these very pricey guys, and often you may only be able to get one depending on how many mid-tier players you pick. I feel like this week I'm going to have a couple higher tier players, 1 or 2 mid-tier, and several lower tier players. So let's move forward. I'm going again this week. Thomas Detry again. I feel like he's at least good to make the cut. He's coming in 27th in my model, which is meh. But when I look at him against some of the core skill set, I feel a lot better about it. So I am fine with Thomas Detry at 8-8 on DraftKings and 9-2 on FanDuel, which to me makes him feel like a value if you are a FanDuel player. So I wanted to make sure to call that one out.
That's a good one to call out. When you talk about your model, what are one of the stats that you weigh heavier on? So you talked about it earlier in the podcast, but like, is there one where you're like kind of keying in a little bit better than the others?
There are 2 that I'm kind of really keying in on, and that's going to be putting on the POA. And I'm looking at our approach. Those 2 in particular, I'm weighing pretty heavily. In one model that I have up on my screen right now, I've weighed them evenly, and then I've thrown in 2 others where I'm looking at approach, and I am looking at, of course, my screen wants to be a poop face.
It is not the technology day.
Proximity to the green is the other one I'm looking at. So what I wanted to do while I had your thoughts, you were looking at the scoring 4th round. I can almost talk. I'm so distracted because my computer does not want to behave today. It wants to do everything that I don't want it to do. So I'm going to just pop in your one of your thoughts there, par 4 average and just see if that changes anything for me. But that's how I've been weighing it today.
Yeah, I've been looking
These
at.
things a little bit. Matt Kuchar still ranks number 1. Detry moves up significantly to 12th from 20 something.
The way, to me, the way the course plays, I think you have to look at that only because when I was looking at some of the older stats for the course from like 2019, 2020, there are not a lot of bogeys and there's not a lot of like double bogeys or other,
Okay.
right? Like there's no one's going to really blow up like they did on Sunday last weekend. +8, +6. Thank you, Hayden Buckley. But so you really have to look at that par 4, par 5 scoring average.
Well, I'm really glad that you said that and then I just adjusted things because as I told you before the show, I felt like a little nervous, maybe a little naked going in without this last check. And
Mm-hmm.
having made that small adjustment into my weight brings everybody up above 30. And I like that a lot. In fact, I think everybody is above 25 now, which makes me feel really good. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You're going to talk about Nick Taylor or Ben Griffin. Go for it.
Yeah, so I like these guys as well. Kind of for the same aspects. So for Ben Taylor, he's same decent approach stats when you're looking at 100 to 125. Pretty good again from par 4, par 5 scoring. So birdie or better in par 5s. He shakes out okay.
Mm-hmm. It's
And
actually 5th in my model, 8,000 on DraftKings.
yeah, and he's not too bad of a putter. I mean, for the most part, for putting on, Poa, he's not bad. I mean, he's not gaining a lot of strokes, but he's not also giving. It's right there in the neutral zone. Um, but when you're looking at approach, he's good. And so around the green, he's not bad. So I think he kind of shakes out and gives you a little bit of value around that range.
I like it. I like it. And your other one you had listed was Ben Griffin, and he is shaking out 9th in my model, 8-6 on DraftKings. You want to throw out a few things you love about Ben Griffin?
Well, Ben
Favorite
Griffin.
thing?
So in my model, he is round 16. But actually, take that back. 11th. Wrong Ben. But when you're looking at par 4 scoring, he's 6 overall on tour. He's doing pretty well tee to green, even though we're not really weighting that at all. But he's been playing pretty well, trending up, and his approach is pretty fairly good. And at that 8 range, especially if you're going to be trying to cram in, I'm going to make you cry, Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's not bad for that value. Again, when you're looking at it, his approach up there with the big names that you think of, again, he's nothing right home for putting, which may or may not, kick me in the ass later. But again, his approach stats from 100, 125, and 125 to 150 are pretty solid. So if he can get it in there, he'll have some short putts, and hopefully that will work to his favor. Again, par 5, par 4 scoring. His par 4 scoring is actually almost off the charts compared to the others. So
Okay, fair enough. I don't know why I have Justin Rose here. He's a little bit pricier than mid-tier, but I'm just going to throw it out there for funsies. If you have the space, when we talk about that old man golf, that steady Eddie, I think it describes Justin Rose pretty well, especially tee to green. He is one of the best, ranking 7th in the field. So in my personal model, he's towards the bottom at 25th, which is not to say a whole lot because there are 149 ranking players here in this list. So 25th is pretty great. If you need someone random and you're like, I don't know who to pick, but we've, just to recap, really liking Thomas Detry, Nick Taylor, Ben Griffin came from Adam, and I'm tossing in a Justin Rose at the high end of that scale just for that staying steady veteran type of play. We're at the kind of bottom of the barrel now where you're like, I don't know who to play. And I feel a little bad because some of our picks are on the higher end of the scale, because once you get lower than 7, it's really bad. So
The talent, I shouldn't say the talent. Everybody's grinding out there trying to earn a
right.
dollar. But when you're trying to make some picks for DFS,
Yeah.
the talent kind of just drops off the cliff there.
And sometimes you can find some nuggets. And I will tell you this honestly, friends. I was at the bottom. I am looking for those nuggets that might have the skill set to really surprise us. And I was not finding anything other than my what the fuck pick, which we'll give you later. Otherwise, it's kind of, you really need to be above 7. So I'm just going to throw out there that your 2 picks I also wanted to pick, but that makes my list too long. So I'm just going to say Mark Hubbard, let's go in there, 7K, cheapest player on my radar, but also one that ranks 3rd in my personal model. So I'm really, really, really digging Mark Hubbard this week. And he's not too far off in FanDuel at 8-4, which you know I love when those salaries are close together, because it makes me feel like if I play him on FanDuel, I'm getting a value, and I know I'm getting a value on DraftKings at 7K. What do you got for us?
Well, I do like Mother Hubbard, but you know, I'm a fanboy of this golfer, and his name is Brendan Todd. On the Team Rise or Fall, we call him the Todd Father because you can always count on him for his iron play.
Mm-hmm.
And approach shots, pretty good at putting. This has Todd Father's course written all over it, and so he is one of my picks in that range that I like.
I like it. I really do. I want to list more. If I was gonna list more, I would also choose Brendan Todd. For funsies, let's see, where is he? He is, I don't know. I can't find him right now. Carry on.
In my model, he's number 2, so he's right behind Kind Eyes.
Right
So
behind.
it's your favorite golfer, and then my
4th.
favorite golfer. Yeah.
I got him 4th. Go for it. I interrupted.
Oh
Next.
no. Next. So after Mr. Todd Father himself, I have Matt Nesmith, which you also have on your list.
Mhm.
Now he does shake out pretty well again on approach, and then when you look at other items that we've talked about, and it's been, let's see here, we're looking at pretty good value at 7,300, and then you're also looking at not bad event history, not bad at all. He didn't do so well last year, but overall, um, the one thing that's kind of against him is his recent trends at playing. But when you look at his stats, approach, great. Total strokes gained, great. Shots gained putting on POA, losing some strokes there. He's not long off the tee, but we've talked about that. We don't care. But he's got some accuracy off the tee. So he's not long, but he's got some accuracy. So hopefully he can get those fairways and then get good greens on regulation. One thing he does shake out well at are par threes. He does pretty well at par threes. He does okay at the par fives. His par four average a little bit higher than expected, so he's going to par his way through the course. And on those par threes, the shorter par threes, he's going to nail it, and that's where he's going to gain some strokes.
Yep. We got Royal Slade in the crowd. Nick Taylor, good Canadian kid. He loves it. Slade there in Canada. We are not disappointing with the Canadian picks this evening. I had Pendrith, took him off again, but that goes Slade. But yes, we love a good Canadian. Let's see. I do love Matthew Nesmith, however, Nesmith. I do like him. 7-3 on DraftKings, not super pricey. Throwing in a rando Grayson Sig at 7-2 on DraftKings. When we look at his skill set, it actually fits the course really well when we're talking about those basic things that we want to have when we go in here. So I'm okay with that, Grayson Sig, but not in love with it. Just wanted to put it out there so I had something different than you. But we love Hubbard, we love Todd, we love Neesmith. Let's roll with that.
Let's roll with those picks.
We have a little segment we've been putting together. I made a little video and I forgot to upload it with some music, some random memes and gifs.
Just what the fuck internet moments, right?
What the fuck WTF pick. I am going with out of nowhere, just based on data alone and some value, Kevin Tway. Kevin Tway, we want to talk again about old man golf. He ranks not great in my stats model at 96th out of that 144. Looking at event history, previous play, he's hanging in there. He's not doing awful. Kevin Tway is not a name that you would hear often. He is perfectly average. He's driving a little further than most of these guys are. His approach is average. Around the green is average. His putting's a little better than average. But I'm going to go with Kevin Tway as my complete left field pick. Who do you got for us?
So I have Robbie Shelton. And Robbie Shelton is kind of the poor man Brendan Todd when you look at him on paper, which when you're looking at Brendan Todd, you're like, well, he's just the poor man's Justin Rose. And so everyone's just the poor man of someone else. But anyway, so Robbie Shelton, again, not long off the tee. I think he's one of the shorter tee players on the tour. But, on radar, on paper, he's doing okay. When you're looking at those approach stats from 100 to 125, 125 to 150, he ranks up there. And then again, par five scoring birdie or better, he's at 50%. He's not bad. And when you're looking at par four scoring average, it's less than 4. Now he's going to par those par threes. He's probably not going to make gaining a lot of strokes there. But when you're looking at everything else, he does pretty good. And for that price, I'll take him. And he doesn't lose strokes putting. So
I like it. And the more I start to look over like other players in this model, Robbie Shelton, by the way, in my personal model ranks second. So there's something to be said for that. And when I think of WTF players, one that often comes to mind is Aaron Baddeley. So I may make a switch out of Kevin Tway and move over to Aaron Baddeley. 7-1 on DraftKings, ranking 9th in my model. So it might be a fairly good idea out of left field. I might make a Baddeley model, which you had me do 2 weeks ago, and it actually turned out okay. So WTF picks going back a couple weeks. We'll see how that works out. I don't know, but it's really been fun working with you. Even before starting the show and having you on as my guest, we've been going back and forth on Twitter about various things. So it's nice having a golf buddy to bounce things off of, that understands social media and the content and the marketing piece, because we work in similar fields also. So thank you for being my golf buddy.
You're welcome. I enjoy talking golf.
And everybody, thank you for watching the show. I hope that we have another great week. Tomorrow morning, I'll have a write-up for you. I'll include a little section that had Adam's picks in it from the show if you want to be reminded of those. You can find that article for free at teamriserfall.com. And if you choose to want to use some of the tools, you can use code KIP for $10 off your first month. If not, all of my content is free. It's free at Team Riser Fall. It is free here at Club Fantasy. And I'm going to continue to make videos all year, unless for some reason I'm unable to record. Man, I was even making videos or writing content when there wasn't really anything to talk about. So you can count on me for Euro, for whatever. So thanks for joining us. I don't want to take up any more of your time. We actually made great time this evening.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
I was pretty pleased with that.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for tuning in. See you next week, and watch Twitter at Kelly and Phoenix, at Mr. Hallas for some little quips here and there about golf and whatever. So we will see you next week. Bye. I'm ending the broadcast.